Oh, okay. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Between the Covers, hosted by myself, Daniela Blechner, and I'll be bringing my awesome, amazing guest who I'll be introducing in just a second. But if you're new to the broadcast, hello. If you're new to the broadcast and you're here for the very first time, my name is Daniela Blechner. I'm an author, book journey mentor, founder of a company called Conscious Dreams Publishing. We work with authors from all over the world to help them to get their powerful messages and stories out there in the form of professional books. Okay, behind me on the bookshelf are just some of, can you see? Are just some of the 105 books that we've published over the last 5 and a bit years. I'm going live on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook all at the same time. So I'm very excited about this. A little bit about the show. This show really is a platform for authors, yes, authors that we publish to really share their stories and their message, talk about their books. It's also an opportunity for you to get involved as well, ask your questions. This is a very interactive show. I think it's really, really important for authors, especially for aspiring authors, to learn from authors themselves about the journey behind, cutting my head off. There you go. About the journey behind publishing a book. Hey, Charlotte. Hey, Candy. What goes into it? It's not just about the publication of the book. It's about the writing. It's about the publishing. It's the promoting. It's the marketing. It's all of these things that come together to make an awesome and amazing book that sells. What is very exciting about our guest, Eileen, is that she has wanted to publish a book for the last 8 years. It's been an absolute dream of hers. Her book is called The Courage to Shine. She was an anaesthesiologist. I can never say the word. Aneetha, she'll help me out. And an anaesthetologist helped me out, Eileen. She put people to sleep, but now she's in the business of waking people up and assisting them in having the courage to shine and finding their own voice so that they can empower others. So without any further ado, I'm going to invite this awesome, amazing, lovely lady, Eileen, who I think I've been working with Eileen for the last 8 months, I think. So I'm just going to invite her into the stream. Hey, how you doing, Eileen?
Hello, Daniela.
Hey. Just if you just put your phone on silent. Oh, I've got to put my phone on silent. Okay, hold on. Just doing a quick sound check. Okay, if you're on Instagram, can you hear me? Please let me know. If you can, just say I. And if you're coming into the broadcast, please do tap the screen, show us some love, let us know where you're watching from. Feel free to throw up any comments, ask Eileen or myself any questions, and please do share this out if you find this of worth and value. You can hear me. Yes. Okay, so welcome, Eileen, and congratulations on your book that is coming out on the 18th, which is literally Friday. Oh my gosh, very excited. Tell us a little bit about you, first of all. You grew up, where you grew up, and what that was like.
Well, I'm Irish. I grew up in Dublin, the north side of Dublin city, and kind of pretty ordinary, growing up in an ordinary family in an ordinary house. And I wasn't very fond of the city, so we'd escape to the country on a regular basis. And that was really where I just loved the freedom of the countryside and the freedom of, my aunt had a farm, and we would just have all that time in the farm, and then we'd have to go back then to the city, back to school, back to prison, is what I used to say. And so it's probably no accident that I am now living in the countryside. So I'm in the northwest of Ireland now, in Sligo. I love Dublin, but I am no longer living Dublin. I left Dublin when I was in my 20s. And my mother lived there for many years after me. Until quite recently, she came to live with me for a couple of years before she died. And so, yeah, that's kind of, so I grew up in Dublin, now live in Sligo, and in the meantime, travel the world.
Wow.
And yeah.
Amazing. Just for those viewers watching, whenever I do any Zoom calls with Eileen, I'll always glimpse the back through her window. I'll always see through her window. Huge field. We're going to have a book launch there, Eileen. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Very, very contrasting with what you see out of my window. Now, hey, CVAJ, nice to see you. Eileen, there's a little bit of feedback on your phone on Instagram. So could you just check that you've got your sound turned right down on your phone?
Yeah, it seems to be right down, yeah. I can still vaguely hear it, but it's down as far as I can get it.
Okay. If you're watching, let us know if the sound's okay. I think it's mainly on Instagram. So tell us, the courage to shine. I know this is something that you've been wanting to write for a long time. I mean, what was that journey to actually saying, right, I want to actually write a book?
Well, it wasn't so much, it wasn't so much that so writing a book, I didn't ever really want to write a book, Danielle. It wasn't something that I said, oh, I must write a book. But I've been writing all my life, like just bits and pieces, like my house is full of paper. You know, it's like I write. Writing was always very easy for me, so writing was not. And then, you know, when I wrote the book, it was kind of writing about, you know, my life or my stories, or people would say, oh, I think you should write a book. So I started to put a book together, but I had no idea what to call it. I had no idea of the title. So to me, it was just a lot of, you know, stuff together that I wanted to put down on paper, but I didn't have any context for it. I didn't quite, what am I going to call this? So I struggled with titles and whatever. And it's only when it kind of hit me that actually it was about, because it was taking me so long to get it out there. It was like there was something, I was reluctant, I was like afraid to get it out, I was afraid to tell anybody about my life. And it was like, what if actually I had the courage to actually put it out there, you know, and shine? And I suppose just once I kind of tweaked away at that title, suddenly the book started to take shape, because then I could really see where courage had failed me in time, and then where I actually had found courage, and where I had courage and where I didn't have courage, and then really what it's like when you got like to shine fully with courage. It's that was kind of the thing. So once I had found that kind of key, then I thought, oh, now I can actually write, or at least I can publish the book now. And then with your help, Daniela, which I know we have worked back and forth, and you tweaked it and you've done it, and you found a beautiful cover for me. Thank you so much. But I think that was it's definitely a journey. Definitely.
Amazing. So it's always been something that's been within you. Riverdance says, I totally get that, Eileen. Awesome. You tell a little story in your book about a friend called Jewel. Tell us a little bit about that journey where I think she gave you that kind of epiphany moment. I found that really interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that was again, I hadn't ever thought about writing a book. It wasn't on my list of things to do, bucket list. So my background is anesthesia, so I was a medical doctor, but I got an invitation to go to an entrepreneur retreat for a month on Bali. And I thought, that's nice. Okay. I'm not an entrepreneur, but you know, who's going to say no to a week or a month in Bali? So I did. And on that particular retreat, anyway, it was this particular girl, Jewel. And over the course, and of course, it was a beautiful retreat, and we had a beautiful pool, and there was a lot of learning about how to be an entrepreneur, which I didn't think I was. I'm actually a doctor, not an entrepreneur. But so anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed the month and taught Jewel how to swim. And at the end of the month, look up here, sorry. At the end of the month, Jewel said to me, you know, we were talking about the swimming, and I was saying it's all about courage. It's all about courage, you know, about water, and it's, you know, really, I mean, babies can swim, animals can swim. You know, we have a fear of water. What if we didn't have the fear? If we had the courage to swim? So I, then at the end of it, she says, so what are you afraid of? And I said, well, I'm not afraid of anything. Thank you very much. Feeling very kind of chuffed with myself. And she said, well, everyone's afraid of something. And I said, well, I'm not. And I couldn't actually think of anything, because my fear of speaking was gone at this stage, right? As you would figure that from the book, that was not gone. And now I was happy to speak anywhere. And but the way she looked at me, and the way it was like, God, if I am afraid of something, let me just think about that. What if I am afraid of something? And then when I had actually come over, I had left my mother in a nursing home, and she'd been living with me for 18 months. And I kind of knew she was coming to the end of her life. And I had this thing as like, you know, my mom was going to die soon. And there was like a fear of, like, me, what's my life about? Like, what's, you know, like, she's left, you know, she'll be leaving me here. And the fear of, you know, like, what was I going to be either known for, or, you know, like, what was it going to be about? I don't have any children. So who knows me? I thought, well, rather than somebody tell the story of my life after me, after I've gone and maybe get it all wrong and make up all sorts of things that weren't true, I said, well, maybe I'll write about it. I'll write about my life. kind of for me, but if anybody was interested, then it's for them too. But that was probably the start of it. It was like just to get that thing. And I think somebody said the most important book you read is the book you write yourself. And I have to say, it was really, really amazing, the journey you go on yourself when you're writing a book about yourself. And you're kind of coming out like warts and all. It's like, if somebody really wants to know me, this is the real me. This is like the nuts and bolts of me. This is what I say. This is what I think. And, you might like it and you might not. That's kind of a risk you take. But it's not for anything else other than this is me. So...
And I think that's really interesting what you say, because Eileen talks a lot about, not wanting to die with the music inside her, with the story inside her. And I think, if you're watching, can you relate to that? Is that something that resonates with you? Do you feel that, I think sometimes when we experience loss and we experience grief, it does make us think about our own purpose and our own life, and where we're going and what stamp we're leaving on the earth. And that's one of the things I really loved about your book, is that you make that really clear. In terms of then the title, The Courage to Shine, why the title? What does that mean?
Well, just that it's like everything is probably about courage, and especially if it comes to shining, because I think in terms of shining, it's like it's shining your own light. It's being really free to be yourself, free to say what you want to say, do what you want to do, be who you are. That takes courage, because you can be rejected, you can be hurt. There can be a lot of people who don't like you and don't like, what you want to say or what you want to do. So it takes courage to show up in that, like, well, this is me, and it's just that full acceptance of yourself. And it's so I think that just does take courage, because we're so busy trying to, not I suppose belong, make sure that people kind of, that we fit in. And we learn quite young how we're going to fit in. We're not going to stand out. And then we want to stand out, and we want to fit in again. We want to stand out, and we don't want to be left out, and we don't want to be rejected, and we don't want to be like, there's so many things, but it's always kind of a little fear that's driving us. Are we going to be rejected? Are we going to be loved? Are we going to be liked? Are we going to be ignored? Like all these things. So it's just to get that fear out of the way and just say, well, what if, just give it a go. I'll try it. Do you like me? And if you don't, that's okay too.
I love that. Faye's saying so true. Here we go. I can show you a comment. Yay. Hey, Faye. She's our events manager. Her book's coming out soon. She's going to have the courage to shine. So I find that really interesting. You were talking about some of the reasons why people are afraid to shine, or they're afraid to get their voices out there or their stories out there. And it's this, like you say, fear of being judged, fear of being criticized, fear of being rejected. And I think all of us at some point have experienced that. One thing that really stood out to me in your book was when you spoke about public speaking. And I get this because even though I speak a lot, and I do presentations now and all of this sort of stuff, you would never see me reading in class. I didn't mind chatting in class, but when it came to reading out loud, I did not want to do that. So when you spoke about that, almost kind of breaking the barrier to actually going from not wanting to be seen to standing on stage and sharing your story, tell us a little bit about that process.
Again, it's, as they say, actions speak louder than words. Sometimes the action is the word. So when you actually do the thing, actually the fear can disappear. But we so avoid doing the thing that the fear stops us. So when you don't let the fear stop you anymore, you just do the thing, because either somebody says, just do it, or you say, okay, I'll do it. Then you do it and you think, oh, done it now. That wasn't so bad. So I think there is that sense of risking it or letting yourself be encouraged. I think that's the bottom line. It's like, we don't necessarily have this, little bag of courage that we have somewhere. Somebody encourages us, and then we allow ourselves to be encouraged or not. And I just wouldn't have allowed myself to be encouraged for a long time. It's like, no, I know better. I can't do it, and don't be asking me. It's like, no. But when somebody said, look, just do it, it's like, no. Like, well, just do it. But then, all right then, okay. And then you do it, and you think, God, that wasn't the thing. It was the fear and all the reasons and all the justifications and all the evidence and all the stuff that you had that stopped you for years and years and years. And then suddenly it's like, oh, I can't do it. Oh, that's not that bad now. Okay, and off I go. So that was kind of it. It was like being out of the box.
And I love that, how you tell that story of, she speaks about finding herself on stage and then suddenly this voice comes from nowhere. Hi, my name's Eileen Forrestal. And then you come out with everything, you know, and it's just fascinating for me. And I think everyone at some point has felt like that or feels like that. So we've got Black's Pops here says, nice conversation. Michelle says, amazing, striking title. Eileen, you're a great lady. Your story is amazing. That's some divine favor. Fantastic. I love that. Just do it. Brilliant. That should be your slogan. Forget Nike. Just do it. Faye says you're right. Awesome. So that was kind of your moment, I feel, and from your book, where you started to have that courage to shine. But tell us a little bit about the contrast of why you felt, because you also speak about your childhood and why you felt that your words were stuck. You said that you tell us a bit about that. We're not going to tell you everything because you need to get the book, but yeah. Tell us.
Well, I suppose you have, I suppose there is, when you talk about that fear again, the fear of being misunderstood.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things I couldn't make myself understood. It was like I just could not make myself understood. So I think there was that, and then it was like, I'm not even going to bother. I'm just not going to do it. It's too tiring. I can't even understood. Because, having a stammer, the words don't come out right. They just don't. And, people can be sort of patient or helping you or anything, but they can't get your words out. They can't pull them out of your throat. So there was just that sense of, Jesus, these are never going to come out right. I'm never going to get this. I'm never going to be able to get what I want. I'm going to say, there were so many times you'd have to say, even getting the bus, I had to get off the bus at places I didn't want to get off the bus because I couldn't say the place I did want to get off the bus.
Oh.
So there was just all of that thing. And you just, at some point, you just give up and you think, you know what, I'm not going to bother speaking. I'll do everything else. I'm not going to speak.
Oh, we've got Janessa here. She's saying, so true. Sometimes you're crippled by fear and anxiety of doing something. When you finally do it, it's never as bad as you dreaded. So that backs up a lot of what you said in terms of getting on stage. Yeah. So you speak about, have been crippled by fear and also this thing of not being understood. What do you hope people to get from having read your book? Is that part of that? Was that about being understood as well? Hi, Smile.
Well, it's like, I suppose for me, the courage to shine is the courage to speak. So when you're speaking, it's like, it's just the courage to say what it is that you want to say, in as straight away as you can say it. And so if people just get that encouragement, just to be able to say the thing and not to say it in a way that's going to be, not about, like, it is the healing power of words is the subtitles to the book. So, we use language in all sorts of ways to, to hurt people and to criticize and give out and judge and all that stuff. And it just gets everything going like round and round and down these rabbit holes. And then you spend years trying to come back from these rabbit holes because you haven't really said, either, I'm sorry, or the simple things that we should say, it's like, I'm really sorry, I love you, I didn't mean to do that, didn't mean to upset you, or whatever. It's like, well, kind of, we get all kind of righteous about stuff, and then somebody else has to come and do it, and somebody else has to do it, and it's like, maybe they don't. So if there is that thing of just having the courage just to go and say the thing and do the thing, and then see what happens.
I like
because, we just don't know what happens. You don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know what people are going to say next. And we don't know how they hear what we say. We have to speak it, and then we have to listen a little bit and see, well, how did that land?
I love that about your book as well, because it's not just about, speaking and having the courage to shine and the courage to share your message or share your story. You speak a lot about the importance of listening and how, listening's underrated. How misunderstandings can be created through the thinking that you've heard something that you thought someone had said, but actually that's not what they mean. So I really like this conversation around communication. What Eileen hasn't said, or I'm going to say, is she has her foreword written by a very special person, Jack Canfield. If you know, he is an entrepreneur, he is a motivational speaker, international speaker, author, and also co-author of the Chicken Soup series. I don't know if you've read those, but there's lots of series out there, Chicken Soup series. He's endorsed you and he's written the foreword. So tell us a bit about that, because what I love about Eileen is she's very humble. Hi, Rob. She's very humble. A lot of people would be, jumping up and down saying, Jack Canfield. she just told me, oh yeah, by the way, Jack's done the forward for me, and he's done a little video for my book launch. So tell us how this came about.
Well, I did a workshop with Jack Canfield last year. You know, I have another like publishing company, so we do the diaries, Get Up and Go diaries. And I was just trying to kind of see how could we get the Get Up and Go diaries in America. So wouldn't that be good? So I was trying to kind of just create an audience in America. So I did a workshop with Jack Canfield and Steve Harrison. And in that, anyway, it was really about the diaries. But it also kind of transpired that, you know, he discovered that I had this other kind of book kind of hidden under my under my hat. So I kind of risked it one day, and I said, would you read it if I sent it to you? And, you know, there is a thing in life that if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So anyway, so he said, yeah, he'd read it. And then when he read it, then I said, could you do a forward for it? So he did. So I gathered that he actually quite likes what's in it, and he did the forward, and I was blown away. I was really delighted. Look, it was just really great, but it was kind of unexpected. It was kind of, it's like I risked it. I said, okay, have I got the courage to ask here? You know, can I possibly ask Jack Canfield to read my book?
We had edited the book. We're about to typeset it. So typesetting is when you're putting it together, doing the layout. We'd gone out of the edit stage. That was it. And at the nth hour, Eileen was, oh, by the way, Jack Canfield, I've asked Jack Canfield if he could write it forward. Huh? A few weeks later, yeah, it's done it. Here you go. Yeah. Wow, honestly.
He's so lovely. He's such a lovely guy, you know. If you get a chance
he seems lovely. I'm really looking forward to watching his video. Yeah. So we're having a book launch on the 21st of this month. June. Which is June. 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. GMT. So if you're in America, I do know that is 2 p.m. Yes, it is 2 p.m. And Jack Canfield has actually done a video endorsing the book. We're going to have some lovely guests. Of course, the beautiful and lovely Eileen will be there as well. So she'll be answering some questions. There'll be a competition as well. So if you visit my page, or I think Eileen's page, well, definitely in my bio, you can book your free ticket to the book launch there. Do it after the show. And your book is now in pre-order. We'll put the link in the comments a bit later on as well. So that's very, very exciting. Yeah. How do you feel about being able to now say, well, on Friday, that you are a published author?
It's a little bit scary, Daniela.
And what are you going to do with that fear?
Yeah, it's just, look, you know, who knows? I suppose I'm all for, you know, well, this is going to take me on a different direction than I've been so far. I've never been a published author before of like a memoir. I've probably published little articles here and there, but it kind of creates something new, and it's quite exciting. So I've no idea where it's going to lead me, and I'm open to whatever happens next. And even things like here, you know, you come on these like, and you suddenly realize you're like live out on all of these social media, and you think, okay, this is interesting. So yeah, it's like, who knows? You know, who knows where they go? Who knows who hears you? Who knows who knows? So that's
I'm excited. Yeah. Listen, I've seen Eileen's field, and I've just got it ingrained in my mind that we are doing a massive big book launch out there.
So that'd be great.
Just going back to your book for a minute. Because I want to touch on someone who's very important to you. You speak about your mother a lot. And I found that really touching and really beautiful. And I can see how she's really influenced you. Can you talk to us a little bit about how she's influenced your life and maybe your decisions?
Well, I suppose it's kind of the thread that runs through the book, actually. Because, you know, I mean, I was the only girl. I mean, I was, you know, my mom was so delighted with her, like 3 children. But especially me being the girl in the middle. And then I was so like, I'm not going to wear dresses, you know, I'm not going to cut my hair that way. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Like, completely the rebellious. So when she wanted to be dressing me in all these pretty clothes, I'm like, no, I'm not dressing in any pretty clothes.
I think we would have been good friends. I was like that.
So, yeah. So I think just, you know, and again, you know, and she'd always be saying to me, like, just like slow down and speak properly. Just like slow down, calm down. I'm like, I can't calm down. I'm too excitable. So there was kind of like this conflict all the time. Like she's trying to get me to slow down and trying to, you know, whatever, do this. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. leave me alone and I'll be all right, and it's all your, go away and just leave me. So all of that, right? So that was kind of how life was. And then, you know, I suppose I do explain kind of the origin of all of that, like why that happened and why I had that review. And then really when I kind of saw, you know, it takes that little realization to think, oh my goodness, my mother was the best mother in the world. I was so lucky. Oh my God, what about a great life, you know, that I had because of the mum that I had. And, you know, she was actually, what I say is, she's the person that had me say yes in life. I had it. So she's, you know, because mum she suggested like everything. It's like anything I never got a no from my mother. Or else it was like, well, ask your dad. That was about the nearest she got to know. But apart from that, you know, so really she was super. We had such great fun. And when she came to live with me, like she was 87 when she came to live with me. Actually we just had a lovely time. She was a really, really cool person. We actually went on holiday, you know, like we went to Paris and, you know, we go to the Moulin Rouge, and she said, oh my God, if my neighbors could see me now. She says, you're in there watching all of these can girls, you know, like, and, you know, just to be able to kind of, you know, be out like on the street and like have, you know, coffee and pancakes or whatever out on the street in Paris. And she loving this, like she was so cool. She just really, you know, it was really, really great. I suppose I was sorry I didn't have fun with her when I was younger. That we had been we'd been a bit at loggerheads when we were younger, but we made up for it in our later years, and it was really, really super.
Well, it's all part of the journey, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
River Dance is giving you a heart there. Someone else can relate. She says, "I was too." I'm sure a lot of us were.
I think it's a mother-daughter thing.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I could write another book about that. But your book is split up into 3 parts. So you've obviously got your story at the beginning, which is the main part of the book. Then you've got letters, 89 things that you love about your mother, and then it's letters at the end, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a few letters at the end. I call them letters from heaven. And then the 89 things that I wanted to say. There were just things I wanted to say to my mum that I probably didn't say to her, like really, when she was alive. I probably did, but she, you know, she was kind of elderly at the end and she mightn't remember the stuff. But just the stuff that I really, you know, had I said them to her earlier, we might have had saved ourselves a little bit of the trauma, not the trauma, but, you know, just the, you know, we could have just maybe got a little bit closer earlier.
Everything's brought you to where you are today, and what you're doing and how you're empowering other people who've gone through similar things as well. I think that's beautiful. What is the biggest thing that you've learned, would you say?
Well, number one, it takes courage to shine. It takes courage to speak. It takes courage to be who you are. It takes courage to like just show up in the world. You know, you hear a lot about, you know, what you hear about like imposter syndrome or whatever, but that's kind of, I think that's normal. You know, I think we put a label on it.
If you're watching, just say I or yes if you have suffered from imposter syndrome at all, or I shouldn't be here, this is for X, Y, and Z sort of person, not me. Who can relate to that? Let me know. I definitely have.
But I think that's nearly for everybody, unless you get really, really comfortable in something. But then you're not growing because you're so comfortable in something and you get static. And it might have been fine for you, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. But if you don't actually move out of it, then you're not really growing. And if you move out, it occurs like you're an imposter out there, but you're not, you're just going through life. So you just have to keep, you know, taking on the next opportunity or the next thing that's presented or the next thing you feel like doing or the next thing on your bucket list if you make your own list. Just the things, you know, we're here for a short time. Life is short. Life is short.
You've got the Vicky saying I. Vicky's another one of our authors. I interviewed her last week. Awesome. So what would you say you're afraid of then? So you're talking about, you know, having the courage to shine is stepping out of your comfort zone. What scares you, Eileen?
Right now, what scares me is social media, actually. Being trolled on social media and somebody picking up something and then giving it back to you and you think, no, that's not what I meant at all. So I think that's one of the, you know, when you're out there like in the public, you know, view, eye, ear, whatever it is, and you don't really get a chance to kind of, you know, acquaint yourself with, you know, a person or whatever. Suddenly they see you, they hear you, and suddenly there's like a judgment or something has been pinned on you. Sometimes you feel like you're the butterfly that's been pinned to the wall because somebody has pinned you there. And you think, you know, but I just said what I said, but you know, you get pinned. I think I put it in the book. It was like sometimes when things are written down, they're like sentences on a page, you know, and there's something like we say, like, when you go to prison, you have like a sentence. There's a sentence passed on you. Judge, jury, the sentence, and then that's it. And then, so when you put something down on paper and you write it down, it's like there for eternity, unless somebody burns the books. But even then, there's going to be another book somewhere. So it's always like, I think for people with conversations, you're allowed to say things, and they can just disappear into thin air, or somebody can hear them, and somebody will hear them one way and someone hear another way. But now you're writing them down, and then people interpret them in different ways. So there's lots of different ways to get interpreted, which may be nothing to do with what you're actually, the intention of what you're saying. Sometimes language we're not as facile as with language and communication as we probably ought to be. It's a minefield. So I think the thing, so when you're really speaking from your heart, Mark Twain says, when you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. So that's my thing. Just speak from the heart, speak out straight. Just, it's all about, that's just it. And then to me, there's nothing to hide, nothing to, pretend, nothing to cover up. And sure, if you feel like an imposter, say it, and then just get on with it. You don't mean to be an imposter. You're not actually an imposter. It's just a word. And then don't get too bogged down in it. So yeah, that kind of, it does take courage. It does. It takes courage. Social media.
I think a lot of people can relate to that as well. This idea of being misunderstood, being judged, being rejected, being criticized. And when you do put yourself out there, especially when you're telling your story and you're putting your heart on the line, there is, I think, I don't know anybody who's ever published a book, especially about their life, and has been like, yeah, everyone's going to love it. It's fine. I don't feel stressed about it. I don't feel any kind of, vulnerability about. Everyone does. But I think the beauty of it is that when you speak from the heart and you speak your truth, as you said, John, Mark Twain says, you tell the truth, you don't need to lie about anything. Then the people who it's going to touch and affect, they're your audience. Not everyone can be your audience, you can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all of the time. So you're always going to have those people that might misunderstand you, or it doesn't resonate with, so it's for me, it's about focusing on those 100 million people who are going to love what you do, and not the 3 or 4 that don't, and as Eileen says, throw yourself out there anyway. That's good. That's good information, Riverdance says. Thank you. If anyone's got any questions for Eileen, please do throw up your questions as well. This is interactive, so please do ask your questions. I'm going to ask you a little bit about the writing process. How was the writing process for you, Eileen? And how long had you been writing the book before you came to us?
Well, I started the book in 2013. So this is now 2021, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, I started, as I said, I think putting a structure on it was the hardest thing for me. I do put in the book there a little bit about, when I did that kind of this, this profiling thing that I did, and I kind of identify my energy, so you can probably feel there's a thing like I have like a dynamo energy. I'm in my head a lot, and so what comes out of my mouth isn't very organized sometimes, It's like, so when you put it down on paper and then you're trying to have it in such a way that it's going to make sense to a reader, like that they can follow through. So for me, organizing and trying to start a beginning, a middle, and an end to the process was really, really difficult, because I want to jump straight in and start it now, because that was what I could talk about, was like now, and then kind of go back. And so I tried different ways of how to make sense of the story. So anyway, we'll see. Hopefully the way Daniela, how we have put it together, that it actually makes some sense to people and they can follow it, and there's a structure to it, and it's just that, and people get, I suppose, people are going to get what they get anyway, right?
Well, we're looking forward to hearing your feedback. I've got Riverdance is asking, would also love to hear about the process with you, Daniela, and how you helped bring that about. Well, Eileen, tell us about the process for you. How did you find the process? And imagine, some people are watching who want to publish a book and have no idea. And everyone's journey is completely different. So talk us through your experience.
Well, I think, Daniela, you just said, you do this and I'll do that. And it was like, so if I just kind of wrote it and whatever, and then, and then you'd kind of take care of the rest of it. Like you would do all the other things. Like, you've done books before. I haven't done one before. So you're familiar with the overall process of it. So I just kind of thought, I'm just going to trust Daniela with my book and with my story. It's like, fun. So I think there was just that sense of, it was in safe hands. That was what I felt, from reading, what you'd said and how you spoke about authors, people like me, who don't really know the first thing about it, even though I publish, but not for us.
Oh, we've lost Eileen's Instagram crashed.
It's just fallen off Instagram here, yeah. Oops, there we go. I don't know what's happened there. Anyway, we're back. Just fell down there. We just fell down there. No damage done.
This was your baby, and it's something that Eileen had been writing over the last, at least, I love it. I need someone to trust like that. Oh, yes. You've been writing this over the last 8 years. So we've had the initial edit. So we have professional editors. I don't edit. We had the initial edit, but I read every single thing. So we had the initial edit, and then I read through it and I looked at it for structure.
It's okay now.
And I think I was quite harsh, but we had to condense a lot because I could feel that you had so much. But it was getting that real structure and that thread through the story, and I think it just works really well now with the chapter headings, making sure that the chapters were of similar length and that it had the thread of your mother throughout, and your message was really clear. And that was a more sort of organic process as we went through the book. So there was quite a bit of back and forth with it, and then obviously there's a typesetting, which is the layout, putting that together. That was a straightforward bit, really. And then the cover design as well. Tell us about what your initial vision for the cover was and how that process was. So imagine people who are watching have never published a book before, and don't know how the whole process works.
I think it was quite bizarre. I think I had a notion in my head, like, because I had the title at that stage. And then I thought, well, shine and courage, and it was like dark and light and all the kind of thing. I had all these kind of notions in my head. And I think I sent you some pictures of what I thought. And then you said, okay, what about this? And you sent me back this one. And I thought, oh, I like that. Thank you. That's perfect. So again, it's like trusting, it's like, it was something, because again, we can have lots of ideas about things, but you just have to kind of trust the process. And when you hand it over, I think as well, you want to just trust that the person is working with you. People want your book to be successful. They want you to do it. So there's a lot of knowledge that you'll bring from your profession into what I'm trying to do. So it's just that back, and that trust, and then we'll both succeed. That's the gift of it, really.
I'm gonna miss working with Eileen. She's such a giggle, honestly. She's been brilliant to work with. Oh, Vicky says, can't wait to read your book. There you go. Justina says, loving the live. Yeah, I think you've been fantastic to work with. We've had so many great ideas, and I've actually quite enjoyed kind of honing them down. And I think come out of the Instagram. I've really enjoyed working with Eileen, is what I was saying. We're going to see if I can try and get Eileen back in the Instagram live. What has been your favourite part, Eileen, of the process? Don't say the end.
What has been my favourite part? It's hard to know, actually. It's a journey. And every bit has its own kind of, as I say, challenges and rewards. So I suppose just the whole coming together of it, and now it's coming to the point where now we're going to launch it, and now it's kind of coming to life now. Whereas it was kind of sitting in the background, hidden in the background where I like to stay. And now it's kind of coming out into the light of day.
Eileen out there into having the courage to shine, because I think what you're great at, what I've noticed, is Eileen, you do so many amazing things, and she sheds light on so many other people, and she gives them the courage to shine. She shines a light on so many different people. When it comes to Eileen, it's like, oh no, I'll promote it tomorrow. Come on, Eileen. Come on, Eileen.
There's a song.
So we'll be on the phone together. I'm like telling her what to post on social media and stuff. But I think it's exciting for me to watch all of this unfold for you as well. And I'm really looking forward to seeing because Eileen hasn't got her proof copy yet, so I'm really looking forward to seeing you with that book in your hand, so you can actually tangibly see this, book that you've been creating all this time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about we've got about 5 minutes left. Tell us a little bit.
Fallen off our perch again.
We do love you if you're watching us on Instagram. Tell us a little bit about your book launch on the 21st. So Vicky said, how long did it take you to write your book? I think you said earlier about 8 years. You kind of want organically writing bits.
Yeah, it was like tweaked and retweaked and tweaked and retweaked. It probably didn't take very long in the beginning to write it, but then I was just forever editing because it was never right. It was back to front and upside down and before and everything. It was just like, it went through like 100 iterations until somebody's like, I said, Danny, okay, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, I'm letting go of it now. It's going.
You fix it.
Deal with it. So, tell us about your book launch.
So the book launch is on Monday, 21st of June, midsummer. And we're very fond of midsummer here in northwest of Ireland because it's like the summer solstice and we have all this lovely light. and it's okay, so we're not doing it in the back garden, but we are doing it from Sligo. And I'm looking out here at Ben Bulben, which is Sligo's iconic mountain. And so I'm just delighted to, I call here the inspiration destination because it's the home of W.B. Yeats. He's buried just here about 5 minutes. I can see where he's buried from here, church. Neath Ben Bulben's head. So Ben Bulben comes down and then the church of Drumcliff. So I'm delighted that's kind of you launch it like physically. I'm physically here in Sligo, even though it's not, we're doing it on Zoom. But if we could do it somewhere, in real time, that would be really great. So yeah, it's just the launch will just be a little bit about the book. Obviously, you're going to be introducing it, Daniela, and you're going to be interviewing me and trying to rein me in.
Yeah, and I never have to rein you in, Eileen.
And maybe a few other people will come. I'm hoping that Jewel can turn up, so she can show up, but she's in America, so we'll have to see how that links go.
That would be amazing. So
just a few people that were kind of part of the journey will hopefully be there, and people who helped me take it to this point, because I couldn't do it without everybody's encouragement. Not just me. It's like it takes a village to raise a child. It takes like a whole whatever to bring a book to life, right? It is birthing it, right?
Exactly.
And so that, and then obviously, some people are going to send videos because I do, I connect with other, I want Sales of the Book to connect with an organization that rescues children from trafficking in Cambodia. I've got a big soft spot for Cambodia, so I'm linking up with that, and I suppose just a few things. Who knows what I think we got some harp, we got some music.
You've got to get on the phone and organise it.
You just have to organise the whole thing. It's all in my head. It's in my head at the moment. It'll be out on paper shortly. And
we're having a combo, don't worry. So, I love that. We'll just say again, for those who might not have heard, some of the proceeds will be going towards charity for
Free to Shine. Yeah, it's called Free to Shine. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. We'll put the link to the charity and websites in the comments a bit later. So child and adult trafficking, is it, in Cambodia?
It's just, it's child actually. And it's just to say, it doesn't even, sales of the book will already be linked. You don't have to do anything extra. Sales of the book will be linked to the organization, just the way I work.
What better reason do we need? I disappeared. Oh, my video is paused for some reason. Oh, well, I'll carry on how it's going. Excellent. So that's on the 21st of June. And the book is coming out on the 18th of June, and hopefully you'll get your proof copy tomorrow. I'm really excited. Hopefully I'll get mine as well.
Yeah, great.
We'll put all the links up to the book in the comments. Eileen, could you tell us how people can connect with you? I know that you have a brand new swanky website. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I have a lovely new website.
What's the website?
I've had it for a while, but it's been hidden. EileenForrestal.com again, and that's just it. So you can contact me there, and I'm on pretty much everywhere. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and I'm pretty accessible. Only shining all over the place.
Brilliant. Okay, last one. Vicky says you have a big heart. God bless you, Eileen. So to finish off, tell us, what would that one, let's say you're giving advice to somebody who has got so much to give, so much to offer. It could be a story, it could be some sort of gift or talent, and they're hiding in the shadows. They don't want to be seen because they feel like they might be rejected. What would you say to them?
Find your encourager and let them encourage you.
I love that. Thank you. That's short enough to be a tweet. Find your encourager and let them encourage you. Thank you so much. And I know your book is going to encourage a lot of people to have the courage to shine. You like that? Michelle says, we'll plan to attend the launch. Well done to both Eileen and the author and amazing Danni. Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. I'm just going to quickly show Michelle's book, Bouncing Back. We'll be speaking about that soon. We will have a proof copy of the book for the launch on the 21st, so please do get your tickets. We'll throw up the links in the chat a bit later, but it's also on my Facebook. It's in my bio on Facebook, on Instagram. And thank you everyone for joining. Can't wait. Thank you. Please join in next week for another episode of Between the Covers, exploring the author journey. Well, I'll be interviewing Babat. Let me just find the book first. I have so many books. It's over there. I'm sorry, I can't hold it up. I'll be interviewing Babatunde Olaniran, who's written Unseen Depth of the Heart. Beautiful, beautiful fiction book, which I'm going to tell you all about on Wednesday. 7 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. EST. See you there. Have an awesome evening. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.